Everyone. Just jumping on here for a minute. I'm an hour behind uh, from the time. Hi, Flowers Realty. I'm an hour behind the time I said I was going to get on because I was having some printer difficulties and this rain won't let me be great. So, really quick, I want to get on here and I'll wait a couple minutes, but I'm going to get on here and just kind of discuss the 3 ways to make your offer a little bit more attractive to the seller. One of them is hi everyone. Hi Amar. Hi Tomas. Okay. So, really quick before my assistant wakes up, I just put him to sleep, so that kind of put me behind too, trying to get my baby asleep and fooling around with this printer and everything. Hi Kendra. Hi Motown girl. Hey. Okay. Really quick, 3 ways to make your offer more attractive to sellers. I'm going to state the most obvious one because, well, let me say this. Let me introduce myself. Hi, Amar Almadi. I'm sorry. I thought I spoke to you. Hello, hello. Khalifa Haluki. I think I said that right. But anyway, what was I going to say? Basically, my name is Aisha Thomas with the Thomas Agency of Georgia and the Thomas Agency in Michigan. I specialize in, hey Mobile, I specialize in commercial real estate and residential transactions, mainly dealing with investors and small companies with their sale, lease, and purchase of transactions, and I consult with that as well. Basically, so I'll get to the point really fast before my baby wakes up. And one of the first ways, which is the most obvious way to make your offer more attractive to a seller when we're talking about some property, is of course not insulting the seller. If you offer 40% less than asking price, unless there's some circumstances where there's high damage or the seller's very motivated. There's some instances where a very lowball offer will work. So I'm by no means saying don't lowball, but of course offering asking or above asking price will get your offer definitely considered and most likely accepted. So I'm going to state the most obvious first is giving full price or close to asking or even over asking when it's a desirable property. The next one would be offering a non-refundable EMD. Now, some people look like, why would I offer my earnest deposit and make it non-refundable? Well, it'll show that you are serious. It shows that you're willing to put your cash up because you plan on closing. So I know if I'm selling a property and I see that someone says non-refundable, I don't need my money back even after the inspection period, that shows that regardless of the outcome of the inspection period, you're still going to move forward. So that shows the seller that you're serious. And another thing with the EMD, offering a high EMD, so showing that you're willing to put more money at risk. So either making your earnest deposit non-refundable or offering a typical amount that's more than normal. Now, I get this question all the time. What's a normal EMD? Well, I'm noticing now from working in different markets, it really depends on the market you're in, because in Detroit, the EMD is automatically 1,000 for most properties when they're under 50,000, under 50,000. But here in Atlanta, I have people who bid on $200,000-$300,000 properties and only offer $500, $1,000. So it really depends on the norm of that market. And to show you're really serious, though, if you put up a high amount, that'll definitely catch a seller's eye, because they say, okay, these people are not going to play games. They're not going to put $5,000 on the line and just decide they don't want to close it for whatever reason. Because most times earnest deposits are refundable if you decide after the inspection period that there's some issues that you don't want the house anymore, or if the seller is not has some title issues. That's another way. Or if you can't get financing, if you have a financing contingency, typically your earnest deposit is refundable. So the first way, like I was saying, I'll kind of do a quick recap. First one is to offer full asking price or above, or just something very competitive, close to asking, if not full or above. The second way to make your offer more attractive would be to offer a non-refundable EMD or a high EMD. And the third way, last but not least, I've seen this more so on the commercial side, more than the residential, is a deal resume. And most people are like, what is that? I get a lot of buyers, a lot of times, who are so secretive with their information. But then you get the people who, this is their business, this is what they do. They have no problem showing previous deals, offering up references. You know, a deal resume can include addresses, purchase price, of course, date, and maybe the brokers who handled it. And a colleague of mine told me about, on an offer for land, they received a deal resume from a buyer who showed that out of the last 30 transactions he did, basically out of the last 30 offers he presented, he closed all of them within this past 2 years. So that shows that this is a serious buyer. So even if you had somebody that offered a little bit more money than this guy, I probably would go with that guy who offered up the deal resume that shows his history, that shows he has to follow through. Because a lot of times you get people to offer more, they come back asking for contingent concessions from the seller. So a deal resume is something where a buyer will show their history, their last transactions, how much those transactions were for, how quickly they closed. So that's definitely something that can sway the seller on your behalf. Now, on the residential side, I've seen buyers write letters to the seller. So this is a little bit more on the sentimental side, where the person basically says, hi, Mr. Seller, I looked at your property. I know you have several offers. Or they even just relayed the message via email to the seller's broker, basically saying, this property is going to be perfect for my family, to kind of pull on the heartstrings. We have a connection to this area. And that's kind of those personal touches that can sway a seller your way. So I'll recap. So really quick, really simple, but there are 3 simple ways that you can do that. And Thanks Flowers Realty, it's definitely used on the commercial side a lot, the deal resume. And I think it would probably be a good idea to use it for residential side investors as well. When you get people with multiple offers and, everybody, I'm going to close. And then, of course, they back out and, it happens every day. So there's definitely nothing wrong with using that to kind of sway your seller. So I'll recap the 3 things. The first thing would be is to offer close to asking price, or even over asking if it's a property that you really want or it's in a really competitive area. Second would be a non-refundable EMD or a high earnest deposit. EMD stands for earnest money deposit. So those are 2 ways that you can show that you're serious. And the third and last but not least is a deal resume, showing the seller your past transactions, the amount, the time to close, the offer, and just giving them your history as a buyer. And it can also be done on a residential side, or if it's more of a, not necessarily an investor, your buyer could possibly write the seller a letter, just letting them know that, I love this home and, we would take care, pull on the heartstrings. Hey, I know it's all about numbers for most people, which is why I love commercial real estate. But, on the residential side, you may be able to hit a heartstring with the seller, and they may be swayed over, especially when it's only a couple $1,000 difference in price offers and things of that nature. So if anyone has any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them while my assistant is still asleep. I'm peeking over at him. So anybody have any questions, give me a couple hearts. Let me know you're out there. I hope, I know it was short, but I hope it was helpful. And excuse me, this rain won't let me be great. Won't let my edges be great, at least. But let me know if anybody has any questions. And flowers, definitely use it. I hope that's a technique that helps you and your buyers get that deal that you want. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I look forward to meeting you in a couple weeks. You're coming to the boot camp, right? You're welcome, Kendra. And Kendra, don't forget to let me know, what you decide to do with your properties. I know you're going to be home now, so you may have a little more time. I know you're a busy lady and all, so let me know what you decide to do or if you need any further help with that. And let's see. So if no one has any other comments, questions, my name is Aisha Thomas. I'm with the Thomas Agency of Georgia and the Thomas Agency in Michigan. And my website is www.the-thomasagency.com. And I'm Thomas Agency on Instagram. Oh, I got a question. Hi, my mom calls me Molly. I think you were supposed to be emailing me, weren't you? But anyway, EMD in most instances is mandatory. Now, sometimes it isn't, because I deal with a lot of people who wholesale, and they just make an offer and agree that we're going to close by this time. So it's not mandatory, but in most cases, when you're talking about properties that are on the market, retail properties, you typically do require an earnest deposit as a show of good faith. But it's not mandatory when you're talking about wholesaling and off-market properties where, hey, I meet you, you say you got a property you want to sell, and I say, well, hey, I'll give you $5,000 for it. I'm not bringing over, $100 to hold it or anything. That's optional, but it's just kind of a standard practice just to show good faith. But by no means, when you start talking about purchase agreements or contracts, all the terms are negotiable. So that even includes the earnest deposit. So, I guess it really just depends on the seller, but most sellers do expect one when you're talking about a house listed on the MLS and in the free market, if that's what you want to call it. So, anybody else have anything else? All right. Well, like I was saying, my name is Aisha Thomas with the Thomas Agency of Georgia. Let's see. Oh, well, you can still you can wholesale deals, but with realtors have to be careful when they wholesale because, we are held to a different standard than a non-licensed person. So we have to disclose that we're a realtor. So I don't know what end you were on, whether you're on the buyer or the seller side, but, my assistant is waking up. I told you all I only had a few minutes, so, all right. All right, so look forward to speaking to you all again, and give me a couple hearts. And all right, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, info@the-thomasagency.com. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Let me see, swipe down.